Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to PowerTeacher Pro K-2 training. Last time we worked on how to set up gradebook for the end of the 9 weeks. Today we're going to talk about and go over a few things. Today we're going to talk about going through reports and what that entails. But before we get started, as everyone is still coming in and saying good morning, we have an attendance link that we're going to go ahead and put in the chat so we can get started and give you a few minutes to go ahead and push that out so that you are accounted for today. Keep in mind that at the end of today, we'll still push out the rollout schedule just so you have it for yourself, as well as the self-enroll link for Canvas if we have some new people today. Today you have with us, we have myself, Lisa, you have Miss Stephanie, and you have Mr. Cole. And we'll be going through some live as well as some presentational stuff. So bear with us as we may be live in some areas, like inside PowerTeacher Pro, but then on other areas we will be going off a presentation because of student data that we don't want live. So I'll give you another minute or two to just go ahead and click on that attendance link. And while we have others waiting, go ahead and today we're going to go through it live. So it is somewhat better sometimes to look and see what you'll be doing versus trying to follow along. Another note, the same YouTube Live link that you clicked this morning to get into is the same link that will be the recording of this as well. So save the link so that later on, if you need to review it or you want to go side by side with the recording as well as working inside PowerTeacher Pro, you can. Okay, so let's get started. So on the screen, which will come up shortly, you'll see PowerTeacher Pro, and you will see the grade level. I'm working in as kindergarten, and I've selected ELA first. And as you see, we'll just go over the review of the blue buttons on the left-hand side. So we have A+ grading, we have students, progress, reports, and settings. Today, because we are going to be inside reporting, we're going to be in the reports area. So I'm going to click on reports. And here we're going to focus on the individual student report. So inside the individual student report, this is where progress reports can be printed per student. So moving forward, as we go into January, progress reports will go through PowerTeacher Pro. So right now, it is really up to you as the teacher for Q2 progress reports that should be going out mid-November. Progress reports can either be on that feedback form you used from Q1, or you can decide to use the individual student report here in PowerTeacher Pro. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the individual student report, and we're going to go through how to set up a progress report so that you have it for future reference in January, February, the new Q3, or if you choose to use it in November. So up at the top, you see the words criteria, students, and format. These 3 tabs are where we're going to focus today. And I'll say it again. We have criteria, students, and format. We're going to first start in criteria. In criteria, I'm going to go through the different areas that are going to be important for this report to print. First is the report title. So inside the report title, we're looking for, I like to do based on what I'm actually printing. So if I'm doing a progress report for November 2020, I sort of like my title to reflect that so later on I know what I have done and I can use it as part of logging for myself. So I'm just going to put in here progress report November 2020. Here you have classes. It is advised that you print one class content area at a time. So when you drop down the content area, you'll see check marks that are available. I have it currently on the green check mark for ELA. When you're done printing ELA, you'll uncheck mark that, and then you can go ahead and click math and so on. So I'm going to keep mine clicked on ELA, and I'm going to click the drop down blue arrow again to bring that back up, and you'll see next to it ELA kindergarten. And you see next to the drop down area, it tells you the one class and the section that is actually there. Next, we're going to scroll down to what is called data. This area for data is really important. So data is the areas to include, and I'm going to click that drop down so you can see it. Because K-2 is doing standards progress grading, there's some things we need to uncheck mark. So I'm going to start at the top. Course grades and attendance. We're going to uncheck mark that. Because with grades is different, traditional grades are different than standards grading. The next check mark is your standards final grades. We're going to leave that check marked. The one next is assignments, and since currently we don't put assignments in the gradebook for K-2, we're going to uncheck mark. And then we're going to uncheck mark category totals because that goes with the assignments as well. So we're going to only have one green check mark called standards final grades. And again, we're going to click on that blue arrow area to bring that drop down up. And you'll see the area next to the drop down saying standards final grades. Underneath that little area, you're going to see 3 green check marks. We're going to uncheck mark show percentages and show assignments with no data. Currently, right now, we don't have those options inside PowerTeacher Pro. We don't give percentages for K-2, and right now there is no assignments. So the only one that you need green check marked is the include standards identifiers. And what this will do is print out the standards that you have put information in. And then scrolling down to the date range, clicking here, if you want to see data currently, meaning past, you would check mark Q1. Uncheck mark Q2. If we're in Q2 and we have your numeric values 1, 2, 3, and 4 in there, then you would check mark Q2. And like always, you are going to click this lovely green button called Run Report. When we click the Run Report area, this is the area where it will bring up to what is called the little bell up here at the top right next to your name. And there'll be a number letting you know that there's a report ready for you to see. Or over in the blue area called Reports, you have what is called Report Queue. So we have the area at the top right, and you also have the area under Reports called Report Queue. We're going to go ahead and cut away for just a second. We're going to actually pull an actual progress report so you can see it. Okay, so now in front of you, you have what is called an individual standards progress report. Up at the top right, you'll see some gold bars. The first gold bar would represent the student's name, and the second gold bar represents the teacher's name. This is also only for one subject area. This is for ELA, English for kindergarten. And as you see in the 2 pages that are there, you have the first page with the first set of identifiers, which are the standards, and the actual grades that go along with it in the far right column. And then underneath, you'll see the second one, the second page that I screenshotted with the remaining part of those standards. As we move forward, we're going to talk about report cards, as well as student comments, and how to verify grades. And Stephanie will pick up from here.
Good morning, guys. We're going to transition over to our presentation for the report card part. We're going to look at the student comments, how to add those, as well as verifying your grades. In your module 1 of your Canvas course, there was information related to your comments as well as your verification, but we wanted to make sure that we reiterated that and that you completely understood that, because your student comments as well as your verification of grades is one of the most important things in order for the printing to occur on the PowerSchool side. So we're going to get started with report cards for each 9 weeks. Now let's talk about our reporting terms that we have. We have 4 reporting terms, which are our 4 9 weeks. We have our Q1, our Q2, our Q3, and our Q4. But also inside of our reporting terms, we have an S1, which is our semester 1, which is a combination or an average of our Q1 and Q2. And we also have an S2, which is our semester 2, which is an average of our Q3, our third 9 weeks, as well as our Q4, our fourth 9 weeks. And finally, we have what's called an F1. F1 is an average of all of those Qs together to produce that final grade at the end of the year. So as you learn to add assignments in, which we will talk to you about later, each teacher who is using the grade book should know how or learn how to put the assignments in, because you never know if you're going to be pushed up to a grade level where you are actually going to have to utilize those assignments. So it's better to always know how to do those things while we're going through this process. So that'll be forthcoming in learning how to do those assignments and adding those things in. But to take care of the report card part, we're going to transition over to the student comments, where you would add comments to your report cards. So we always like to talk about where that overall area is inside of gradebook. And if some of you joined us late, we're actually doing the first part of this again was live, because the data, we didn't have to worry about showing student data, but due to this part and seeing student data, we did transition over to the presentation mode to hide the names and things like that. So with the student comments, adding that to the report card, it's always good to go to the area called comment verification. So in order to get to comment verification, you're going to go to your A+ grading, and you would select comment verification. Once you're there in that area, you would always make sure, once you get to the area or another area, that you're on the right reporting term. The right reporting term should be in the upper right-hand corner of the section that you're working with. So for instance, now we're talking about the Q2, which is our second 9 weeks. So when we start and get ready or prepared to put comments in for the report card, you're going to first check the reporting term in the upper right-hand corner, and just get yourself in that mode of making sure that you transition and automatically do that as the beginning part. Now, I will say this, we are at the end. When we get to our Q2 for report cards, we will be at the end of our semester 1. So when you do your verifying of your grades, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, as well as adding your student comments, you will have to verify your S1. You will have to verify your S1, which is the end of the semester. We'll talk about that again, and I'll repeat that again. So once you're here in this area and you've checked your reporting term in the upper right-hand corner, you are going to go over and you are going to select the box next to the student name. So that column would be listed for us right now as Q2, but eventually it would move to Q3 and Q4. But you'll click that little cell there beside the student name. A pop-out box will occur. And what happens is a calculator will show on the right-hand side of your screen. You will look for what is called the comment bubble. It is up in the upper right-hand corner of that calculator area. And we have that on the presentation, upper right-hand corner. Once you select that, it transitions that calculator mode over to a comment area. And at the bottom area of the white box, you're going to click Show Comment Bank because the district has loaded comments in that area for you. You will scroll through, or you can actually filter once you get used to it, for the comment you would like to add. So say you wanted to add something positive that the student has worked really hard this 9 weeks or this reporting term. You can select that by clicking the plus button to the right of that particular comment. Now, one of the good things to know is if I needed to add that comment to multiple students, I will then go in, once it's listed in the white box, text box area, I can highlight that and copy it and be able to paste it in different comment boxes for my students because I can transition between my students up at the top. You'll see your transition area above to move and toggle between your students. So once you decide whether you're going to use it again, you can always copy paste like we said, but you can also star those. So over on the left-hand side of that comment, you can star those so that they become your favorites. So you can have a list of favorites over in that comment bank that those will show and populate first when you start searching for your comments. And you always have to click the green save button in the lower right-hand corner. So once you do that, you will begin to see your comments in this area here for the report card based on the student that you had selected. Okay, and that should take care of your overall student comments for the report card. And like I said, you can transition between those students up at the top. Your toggle button to the left and the right will transition them. And let's talk about our next area, which is verifying of grades. Why is it important to verify grades? It's important to verify grades because that sends a connection back to PowerSchool for your data manager. That technically says that you are done with your grades. The data manager can run a section readiness report, and they can actually see that you have verified your grades and you're done with them. So that's the way your data manager has that access to know that. So let's talk about verifying grades. You're going to start as your first process of just making sure that you check in your settings area for each particular course that you're teaching. So I would start with my ELA. I would do the same thing for my math. I do the same thing for my science and social studies. But you want to go to settings and you want to select standards grade calculations. Now, when you select that from the area, you will then, what you're looking for in that area is underneath the section that says calculating higher level standards. You are wanting to make sure that that check mark is there, the green check mark. You'll notice over to the right-hand side of each one of those that has a little schoolhouse. So if you're new to gradebook, which a lot of you are, the little house schoolhouse represents that is a district function. But for some reason, due to maintenance weekend or just a glitch, it may come unchecked. So it's always wise, just like I just told you in the student comments, whenever I told you to make sure you're on the right reporting term. You want to always go first and check this before you start with your verifying of grades. You want to go to your settings tab. You want to select standards grade calculations. You want to go up under your calculating higher level standards, and you want to make sure that green check is there. You have to do this for each subject. Now, your screenshot shows the ELA, but then you would transition over to your math and check it, your science and your social studies, okay? Once you're done with that, then you're ready to go in and transition into your verifying of your grades. Now, while there are multiple areas for you to verify grades, we always like to tell teachers to go to comment verification. We've always taught our grades 3-12 to go to comment verification, because if you were a teacher putting assignments in to that particular reporting term, you would actually be able to see that grade along with the comment there for your particular reporting term. So it's just always a good area to see everything all at one time. But because you don't have assignments in that particular area right now for K-2, you would not really see anything in that area for you for the standards based grading. So let's talk about comment verification. So I just took you there as far as the comments, adding the student comments. We always like to go there as well for the verification. This is the last step in finalizing your grades for printing the report card. Your data managers do print the report card. As you know, that pushes back to PowerSchool. They will see, like I said before, they will see the grades and the comments once it's complete, or they'll see the list of students there as well. It is always just a good area to make sure that everything has been pushed through. So in order to get to the comment verification, again, it's A+ grading tab, you'll click comment verification. Once you're there, in order to verify, you're going to, again, make sure you're on the correct reporting term, and we have on this slide, our next slide shows where we have our Q1 and our Q2, and then we have our semester 1, which makes up our fall semester. We have our Q3, our Q4, our S2, and our F1 for our spring semester. So let's talk a little bit right here before we move on. So at the end of Q2, you're going to have to verify for Q2 and S1 for your data managers to see it on their end, okay? Now, what happens when we get to Q3, you don't have to do anything but Q3 for verifying. But when we get to Q4, notice how many you have to do. You have to do your verifying for your Q4, your S2, which is your semester 2, and then your final overall end of the year grade. So you'll have to do 3 at the end of Q4, okay? So on this comment verification area in the lower right-hand corner, you are going to see a tab that says Final Grade Status. You will select that tab, which will then open up another box for you. And it will say, whatever reporting term you're on, final grades are complete. You have the capability then to put a comment if you want to, which is an overall class comment. And then in the upper right-hand corner, this is the most important part, you have to put that check there. And when you do that, that is your step for verifying, and then you will save. Now, another important thing to remember about this is you will repeat this process for all reporting terms in all content areas. So let's talk about that. So for my Q2, I will have to do that. I will have to verify my Q2 for ELA, Math, Science, Social Studies. Then I will have to go back and I will have to verify my S1 for my ELA, Math, Science, and Social Studies. Okay, and you do that process, and all that is a matter of clicking up at the top center for your actual course itself and transitioning between the two, okay? Now, after you have verified for each reporting term that you're supposed to, you will then transition to give documentation. In order to do that, most data managers have asked for the score sheet, which is totally up to the school side is what they decide as far as your verification. But we're going to talk about what that actually would look like. In order for you to verify, you're signing off that these grades are complete. So you want to click on your A+ grading charm or your tab, whatever you want to call it. You're going to click on score sheet. And at that point, you can print it by, if you're on whatever browser you're on, there should be a file print. And you're going to sign and turn that into your data manager, okay? If you are on a mobile device, you can screenshot it and email it to yourself and print it. But we wanted to make sure we covered with you guys how to do that screenshot mode. So if you're on the website or web browser itself, you'll technically click the file print, the actual page itself that's there. But as far as your screenshot help, the next slide shows you or gives you links that if I wanted to take a screenshot on a Mac, how would that work? How would I take one on my iPhone or my iPad? How do I screenshot on a Chromebook or an Android? So technically, if you don't know how to do those, this is a process, and these are links on how to assist you with taking a screenshot for each one of those devices that we technically have. And that will help you in other areas as well if you need that. Now, moving on, we do want to repeat that if you are not enrolled in our Canvas course, PowerTeacher Pro Gradebook for K-2 teachers, we do have a link on the next slide that you can self-enroll yourself in that course. And anything that we have new, we will push in there. You should get a notification when we've loaded new things in our actual Canvas course. And like I said, any new updates or things that we need to push out to you guys will be found inside of your Canvas course. Lastly, we want to talk about the K-2 rollout schedule. That would mean what is the next transition after today. You need to mark your calendars for Module 3 will be pushed out on Friday, December the 4th. We should have training on that day for you at 8:45. And we will talk about assignments and what that looks like on the end of putting assignments in. And for you, it'll look a little bit different on the K-2 side as far as assignments and putting those in. And we probably will eventually talk to you about the parent portal because the parent portal is actually how your parents can go in and see some things in the background, you know, for future use in case you were to be in a 312 grade. Then you would know all the functionality of the grade book, and you would know if someone asked you a question about the parent portal, you would actually know kind of what they're talking about. Now, we talked about progress reports today. We also talked about the student comments as well as verifying your grades. Remember that the end of the second 9 weeks is Friday, December the 18th. So you'll have another training before your grades are finalized. And your report cards will go home sometime the week of January the 8th, according on what the district, if they make any changes to that. But you have that as a document to be able to look and make plans for the future. So that is all that I have on my end as far as trying to explain the report card and student comments and verifying. I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa.
So at this time, if you have any quick questions or anything that you want to ask us per view here, we're here for you in that chat feature. We hope that was not complicated and confusing. We love the idea that it's a recording so everybody can re-look at that recording over and over again just so that they made sure they have everything right. We can't push enough that if you can enroll in that Canvas course for yourself, it would really be useful. The video link is there, the presentation is there, updates to presentations as we go through things is there. It is really useful and helpful to at the moment as you need it kind of deal. As we go through, we'll answer a few questions. Miss Wilson, the screenshot is of your score sheet. It's just so that the data manager has that paper piece with your signature on it, with your date on it, so that it's that, you know, that lovely piece of paper in someone's hand saying that you've completed your grades with comment verification and verification of grades. The Canvas course enrollment link has been put in the chat as well. It's near the bottom. If you are at the top, it is near the bottom. The enrollment link is there for you. And then it will ask you on the Canvas side to accept the invitation, and then you are good to go and you're inside there. Module 1 from the last training is in there, and it is published and active. Module 2 will be active momentarily after we finish our session with you guys today. We will go ahead and activate it to make it published. The video link is in there. You also get announcements as reminders for yourself, as well as anything else that you need. If you're in the course, you would be getting notifications via your email in Canvas to answer that question as well. If you have any other questions, we look forward to hearing from you. It is always a great rule of thumb. You can email Stephanie Cole or myself at any time with any questions, and we can either set up Google Meets or answer via email for you those questions that you may have. And no question is too small. So as you get trumped or if there's questions of uncertainty, feel free and email us. Miss Joni, go to your settings in Canvas, and there should be at the top left your account. In your account, there is a tab called Notifications. You would go in there and set your notifications up by toggling on and off buttons as you want things emailed or texted to you, etc. Well, we hope you have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you in December.